Good afternoon, everyone. I am Sheila Marmon, the founder and CEO of Mirror Digital, and I am here today at the Stagwell Content Studio at the Consumer Electronics Show on the Convention Center floor in Las Vegas. And I am here today with Marissa Nance, the founder and CEO of Native Tongue Communications. Let's get started so you can learn a little bit more about the fabulous Marissa Nance. Marissa, you are the queen of introductions, and I have benefited from one of those amazing introductions. If you were to introduce yourself, can you tell me, what would you say?
I would say that Marissa Nance is a dedicated and focused advocate, an ally, and apostle for people of color, communities of color, people who look and sound like I do. And I think that's fair. Because a lot of times people will push back on it and say, but what about me? I've lived half a century in a world where what about me doesn't mean me. So I'm really proud and I'm really excited and what's the word?
Invigorated.
Thank you. To really be there and be an advocate and just be about the communities that need it.
Thank you, Marissa. So you've had a long and illustrious career. What are some of the major influences on your journey?
I think I've had a few hits. And when we talk about influences for me, it really gets to events that have happened in my journey professionally. I go back, some of the stories I tell, one of the stories I tell is, and I think you've heard this, when I was just becoming a vice president, I was really closing one of my first big deals. And this is before Zoom and all of those things. So a lot of it was really on the phone, and it was with a company that was in Chicago. And so as the deal was getting closed, they were going to fly to New York and they were going to meet me for the first time, and I was going to meet them. And I thought, this is a fantastic and amazing thing. I'm going to close my first big deal. What a great day. I was so psyched. And I walked into the room they were. They had no idea who I was. And when I walked in, all four of the men who did not look and sound like me looked up and said, "We're so happy you're finally here. I'd like water. I'd like a cup of coffee. Do you have tea? I'd like a Pepsi." And I looked and I paused. I took their order. I went and got what they wanted and I brought it back to them. And at that point, I could have erupted. But instead, I walked to the front of the room, I sat down, and I said, "And by the way, it really is great to meet you. I'm Marissa Nance." And when you look at their mouths dropped and the shock and awe, but something like that really helped me understand how to react in situations, how to maintain my dignity, and how to continue on a path forward even when obstacles, small or large, appear. So, it's little stories and anecdotes like that that really I remember, and they help me get ahead. I learn from them.
I think that is amazing advice and something that all of us can think about. Pause, think about how you react in the moment,
right,
and rise to yourself, your highest occasion. Knowing that you went from nearly 30 years of working for someone else to then becoming an entrepreneur, what would you say is the biggest note that's prepared you for this stage of your journey?
I'm going to say it's all about your village. It really does take a village. I mean, look at this village here.
I'm part of the village.
She is part of the village. And I appreciate her. And it really is that. I mean, it's understanding who you are and what you can do, and also leaning in and knowing, someone like Sheila at Mirror Digital, who's had an incredible year yourself. I mean, between Inc. being you were acknowledged for Inc. and you were also acknowledged at the LA Business Journal this year, right?
Yes.
As what, best company?
One of the best places to work. Yeah. So
best small business in LA to work. So understanding that it takes a village, that you can't do it on your own, and that you surround yourself with people who mirror who you are and who you want to be. And that's very much what Sheila and Mirror Digital are. And that's very much what I've learned and how I've gotten to where I've gotten.
So we want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges facing our industry, and specifically for women and women of color. How does Native Tongue specifically help address these things?
Yeah, it's interesting because Native Tongue Communications is the first and only minority certified and female certified media agency to exist. And we're in 2023 now. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And so it's staggering to me to think about that and realize that fact. And when you think about the importance of having someone like me and like Sheila giving us a seat at the table in marketing and advertising, it initially may not feel important. It's not politics, right? It's not laying laws of the land, but it's truly creating the narratives of the communities we come from. People look at the content, people look at the ads, people engage with the products and services in a certain way. And so for us to be given a seat at the table and manage and navigate how communities of color are spoken to, are messaged, and appreciated and respected, I think that's key. I think that's huge. So thank you for that seat at the table. We thank you for that, and let's get more of them.
Absolutely. You know, and it's particularly relevant at CES as you think about people of color being innovators in digital media and technology. It's great to be having this conversation here. How do you find your empathy for outside perspectives while staying true to your core mission and staying true to who you are and your North Star?
Yeah, it's important to have, I lead with, I was the chip in the cookie, right? I tell people all the time, the title of my memoir would be The Only Chip in the Cookie, because it was it. I was the only one for a very, very long time. And so I made a promise to myself and to my industry that if I had the opportunity to create my own entity, a la Native Tongue, that the diversity would be apparent. And so that's what I do. I surround myself with people who mirror me, but are not necessarily exactly like me. And I think it's an interesting way to look at life, not to just assume someone mirrors you because they're of the same ethnic background or same gender, but think about their mindset, think about their empathetic, how they approach the world and how they live in the world. And that's what we do at Native Tongue. That's what you do. That's why you win those great awards for best place to work. I know your team is amazing. And so I think that's how I stay in that moment, by surrounding myself with people who mirror my mindset, maybe not necessarily what I look and sound like.
So I think that is an amazing note to end on. You can find allies wherever, whether they mirror your mindset, your voice, your community. There's all types of ways to create connection. And again, we are really excited to be here today at the Consumer Electronics Show with Stagwell at the Content Studio. And Marissa, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful being in conversation with you. And Stagwell team, thank you so much for having us. And we hope to see you all soon. Have a great show, everyone.